Hi there, I'm Marlis. I'm gonna show you today how to install one of those Apogee DLI-400 PAR sensors for measuring the photosynthetic active radiation. And when I've been there this summer in the field, in the boreal forest, I set those up in the wetland, so I always made sure to have a box so that I won't lose any tiles. So when setting up, I first need to remove the sensor out of the case. Then I open it up, so we see there's the sensor in it, there should be 2 batteries in it, there's one small screwdriver and a tiny mount, and also a cable and a quick start guide. So when I set the sensor up, I always would make sure that the batteries still have enough voltage. So from my experience for the sensor measuring like 10 days, I wouldn't install batteries lower than 1.3 voltage. So with the sensor, to install the batteries, you first, the easiest way is to screw in the tiny mount and then loosen the screws a little bit, this, so that you can like pull it out, and this I'm just gonna lay aside. And then here you can see with the sensor, here you can take the data off with the cable, and then you see here the battery places with plus and minus. So plus means plus goes up, minus, so minus goes up, and then I can put back the top, put the mount back on, and then I just screw in the screws. And here we need to be very firmly, because we don't want to screw it up. Yeah, so don't use a lot of force. And as you can see, as soon as the batteries are in there, the sensor gonna start measuring. So yeah, here you can already see that it's like about, in the shadow, 103 micromole per square meter per second. And with this button here, I can switch the modes. Like here I can see the different days that it measured, so 0 days ago, and then here you would see the DLI, the daily light integral, and also the photo period. And here you can just skip through the days that was measuring, so here the data from the last measurement is still on. And yeah, so if I wanted to set it up in the field, what I was doing is I had a T-post, and I constructed a mounting thing to put on top of the T-post. Here you can see like those angles where I slipped it onto the T-post, so I made sure like that the T would be within 3 of those little noses. And then, so if we would imagine here it would be on top of a T-post, then I added one of those, how do you say that? Plates?
Metal plate.
Metal plates. Then I would screw on the sensor like this, make sure that it's kind of lined up with the screws. And yeah, then I would take a level, one of those with the bubbly thing inside, put it next to the sensor, and then you would see where you need to push or pull the T-post to, so that the bubble is right in the middle. And if I'm confident it is in the right position, I would just remove the level, screw it off again, remove the plate. I guess you could leave it on as well, but I just removed it so that there's not going to be any reflective effects. And then I would screw it on. Here you need to make sure that it's going to be tight and not like moving around, but not too tight so that you can still see that the display is working. And yeah, when I'm confident that it's fine and it looks kind of leveled, always do like a visual check afterwards as well, because it could be that like the screws are in a slightly different direction. Then I would reset the sensor with just pressing the button, and after a while it will count down from 3 seconds or so, and when the display goes black again, it's reset, so that means that the measurements will start from that time on, and it will delete all the measurements. And when I skip through now, you will see the measurement right now, and then it should have like 0 days on it, and you would go to the measurement afterwards again. And with that, it is very important to take time when you reset it, and also the time when you collect the data, because there's no clock in it. It's just a timer, so you definitely need to take the time to relate it to time steps. Okay, so now it's set up. We can leave the site and come back in a couple of days to collect the data. So yeah, if I would collect the data, I would make sure it's still working. I would press the button again, see if it's still working, maybe also have a look how many days it measured, write that down. Then I would remove the sensor from the mount. This is still on the T-post, I guess, and then we would take the screwdriver again, always working up over the box so that you don't lose these tiny tiles. Unscrew it slightly. You can screw in the tiny mount to like take it off, and then take the time when you remove the cover, because then the electricity is like not working anymore with those contacts. So that is the time that you're measuring to. And then you can put the batteries in the cover again. You would put in the cable into the sensor, and then connect the USB to the laptop, and just would take off all the files from the sensor, copy it to your laptop, name the folder as, for example, with the sensor ID and the site ID or date or whatever you wish for, and you're good to go for your analysis. So before you reset it, I always make sure, like here, this is the sensor. Avoid to touch the sensor so that it will have like no destruction, and I always like just clean it off a little bit before I reset it, and then it's good to go. Very clean. Okay. So now I would plug it into the laptop. As you can hear, it's connecting. And then there should be a folder popping up with an about txt file, and DLI.csv file, and a MEAS.csv file. And here in the DLI file there's the daily data in it with the daily light integral, and in the MEAS file there's the half an hour data in it. And sometimes there's been the issue that the sensor doesn't connect properly to the laptop, so what I've been doing is just trying to wiggle around the plug in a little bit, so that helps sometimes. And yeah, then it just connects, and then I would just mark all of these and copy it to a different folder destination. So when you want to store the sensor and over the winter, for example, I would not put the batteries in here, because as soon as the batteries are in there and the cover is on top, the sensor will start measuring. So I always have the batteries aside and just put the cover back in it, slide it in. I don't need to screw the screws back in, but I can just put the sensor back in and then secure everything, and it's good to go.